Sharon and Jeff spent a lot of money on their new motorhome, and now they regret it.
If we had known all the stuff underneath the prettiness that was wrong with this coach, we would have passed.
Welcome to the channel. I'm Liz. I'm a full-time RVer. I've been on the road almost 5 years. And today I have the story of Sharon and Jeff and what went wrong with their motorhome. Why do I make these videos? Because they work in getting the attention of the powers that be. Thor responded to my email in the 11th hour and reached out to Sharon and Jeff. Be sure to see what they had to say at the end of this video. If you've missed it, I've been doing a series about the good and the bad of the RV industry. Well, up till now, I've mostly been focusing on travel trailers and fifth wheels. So Sharon and Jeff are the first people I've talked to who are in the high dollar, in the luxury level of motorhomes. In fact, they spent over $400,000 on their motorhome.
This is a Thor Tuscany 45 MX. It was manufactured in November of 2021. We purchased it in August of 22. This is our fourth RV. Honestly, this is the most expensive home I've ever lived in my life, and I really did. I'm really sad to see everything that's been wrong with it and how little care there was put into building it. And it's not just a matter of a couple of things. It almost seems like everything we touch, something breaks, falls down, and it just really, you feel kind of had. When we saw it, it had the perfect floor plan, and that was one of the biggest things. I mean, it's beautiful. So when we went to sort of finalize the sale, we went to do the test drive. We started down the road, and it sounded like we were inside of a wind tunnel. Our sales guy was on the coach with us as we were doing that, and he thought a window was open. And then we realized it was coming from around the windshield. The wind was actually coming in.
First, they contacted Thor, and Thor gave them 15 things to look at. Look at the seal, look in the generator compartment, look for a hole, you know, this, that, and the other thing. I think they spent a day or two looking for things.
They found some spaces under the dash. That there were some open spaces there, and they thought, well, if we put some foaming caulk in there, maybe that will help. After we figured out it's the windshield, they said, well, we're going to contact Thor, and they have to approve sending another windshield. And the whole time I'm thinking, the second we drive off this lot, the second the wheels leave their driveway, they're going to ghost us from here on in. And they pretty much did. But as we were driving back, the foaming caulk in the corners of the dash started to rise up out from the dash into these little caulk mountains on either side of the windshield and the dash. It turned out later on, when we got the new windshield, that caulk, when they took it off, it was pretty much stuck to, there's like a fabric, so we have this sort of a caulk mess on that fabric. They also assured us they would replace that fabric, and they would call us when it came in. That was a year ago. Never heard back. 6 weeks later, the windshield came in, so we drove back out there. When they took off the old one, it was only stuck on in about 2 or 3 places. They said, no, eventually it would have come off by itself. Well, wouldn't that have been charming to be, you know, rolling along America's highways and have our windshield come flying off? So that was the first really big thing. This is supposed to be something that we really invested in, and we wanted a really good one and a good quality, and so that was the first sign that, you know, things are not good. So we paid about $450,000 for this coach, and I will say I expected a lot. And I didn't think that was entirely unreasonable to expect a lot from an investment like that.
Having owned prior RVs, I knew there would be some minor things that would need to be addressed. I was unprepared for the volume and the magnitude of those things. We got in a heavy rain here in Texas, and all of a sudden we had water coming in. It came in the passenger side slide, and then it came in the driver's side slide. Really, really poor installation quality. They forgot some sealing caulk and some sealing tape on both slides. We repaired those ourselves. Fast forward to earlier this summer, we got water coming in at a different place, and we thought, that's odd. Well, we're going to go to Elkhart to have some things looked at. We'll get them to look at it. The Elkhart thing was a disaster, and we'll talk about that in a minute. When they looked at the roof, they said, oh yeah, the tape on the other side of the slide is coming loose and needs to be replaced. Well, they couldn't get to it when we were in Elkhart. With Thor's permission, we had a mobile tech come out. He got up there and said, well, yeah, this tape isn't even stuck down. As he's putting down new tape, he's getting closer to the front part of the slide. And I'm standing on a ladder and looking at it. He and I both looked at it at the same time and said, is that something poking through the roof? Sure enough, when they manufactured the coach and they installed some of the interior cabinetry, apparently some guy only had long screws in his toolbox and he drove 2 screws right through the roof. So now we had additional holes in the roof membrane that the guy was able to fix. This slide roof repair, she assured me that they would pay for it. And then the process starts. And she says, well, you have to get an estimate. And then you have to send me the estimate, and then we'll approve the work. Well, that to me, that's a total ignorance of the way mobile RV techs work. Okay, they charge you just to come out. I'm not going to pay an extra $200 trip charge to get an estimate in the hopes that Thor will approve it, and then pay another $200 charge for when he comes out to do the repairs. I just had him come out. We paid him. I filled out the estimate form and sent it in 5 minutes before I sent her the bill. So I don't know if that'll satisfy them or not. Elkhart, like I said, was a disaster. My biggest complaint there was, first of all, it takes 6 months to get an appointment. So we got our appointment in 6 months out, and we said, this is what we need done. They assured us repeatedly, yes, no problem, we can get all that stuff knocked out. Our biggest repair was we have heated floors in the coach, and the front heated floor wasn't working. When we dug into that a little bit, we found out that the front heated floor was completely disconnected from the electrical system, and it was shipped to us that way. Whether that came from Thor, which they claim it was not, they claim they test everything before they send them out, or whether the dealer discovered it didn't work during PDI, so rather than fix it, they just disconnected it. We don't know. But it was disconnected. When we reconnected it, it started tripping the ground fault. That's a problem under the tile. I'm not going to deal with that. That's what we went to Elkhart, Indiana for. We got there, the guy had no idea what we were there for. I even had Thor's form filled out and sent to them, and he had a completely different form, didn't have our list of priorities on it at all. Got him sorted out, and he spent 2.5 days and accomplished nothing.
The one thing the guys kept telling Jeff was, oh, we hate these heated floors. We don't even put them in anymore, and we don't like working on them. I don't care if you don't like it, you put it in, so fix it.
Bitching to the customer that you don't like the way something was built, that's not my problem.
Yeah.
It's also very unprofessional.
Meanwhile, we were in a hotel room with our 2 dogs. They did, however, reassure us that they would reimburse us for our hotel. Yeah, that hasn't happened yet.
On the way back from Elkhart, the dishwasher fell out, which I think was just, it's like, oh, come on, guys. So anyhow, take the dishwasher out, and it's the typical couple of wooden sticks and a few staples. The dishwasher falling out, that was just bad design. It clearly never should have been constructed that way. The dishwasher should have had better support. The clothes bar in the master closet was pulling out. They either didn't think through what people might use this for and the fact that this thing moves, or they just didn't care. Normally we don't run with the headlights on, but we left early in the morning and I turned the headlights on, and then I walked back to check the tow vehicle like I normally do, and I thought, well, this is odd. There aren't any running lights on in the back of the coach. The tail lights in the back are 4 separate assemblies. And what I found was a little controller box on one of those tail lights assemblies had failed. And that was not only causing the taillight not to work, but it was disabling all the running lights on the back of the coach. Pulled that assembly off, the running light started working, but now I got a taillight that doesn't work. So this is where the hot potato starts. I call Thor, and I say, hey, got a taillight that's out. Give him the VIN number like you normally do. Our customer service rep takes about 3 days and comes back and says, that's not our part, that's a Freightliner part. And I thought, well, that's kind of odd. I mean, yeah, this is a Freightliner chassis, but normally the taillights are put in by the body builder. I called Freightliner and they said, no, this isn't ours. So then I went over to the local RV dealer who carries Thor and said, can you help me? And he said, what year is it? Poke around. He says, oh yeah, a little more research. Well, it turns out that our taillights There's 4 of them on the back, and the reason there are 4 of them is because these are taillights from a 2014 Chevy Tahoe. And they put 2 on each side, one upside down, one right side up. All right, we have new information to go chase. Well, guess what? Nobody has taillights for a 2014 Chevy Tahoe in the world, okay? You can't find this little module. It's just very frustrating because Thor won't take ownership. They won't help you find the part. I even called the Chevy dealer, and bless their hearts, they tried, and it's just frustrating as all get out when you can't call the people you bought the thing from and have them help you troubleshoot. Fortunately, I was able to build a surrogate replacement control module, so now we have running lights and a functioning taillight.
The benefit of being an electrical engineer came into play during this whole thing. So
for me, the big message to Thor is, yeah, you got a quality problem. Everybody on Facebook will tell you got a quality problem, but to me what you got is a bigger problem, is an ownership and a communication problem. You need to step up, take ownership of your product, say what you're going to do, and do what you said you're going to do.
If we had known all the stuff underneath the prettiness that was wrong with this coach, we would have passed.
Well, as you know, I recommend getting an inspection when you're buying new and, of course, when you're buying a used RV. Well, Jeff and Sharon did not get an inspection, and this is what Jeff has to say about that.
I think the inspection might have caught the heated floor issue. It might have caught the screws through the roof, but the rest of this stuff would have been very hard for an inspector to spot until you're actually in the thick of things, running the coach through its paces, getting caught in a rainstorm. You know, you're not going to know this stuff, because some of this stuff was just stupid mistakes. You know, driving screws through the roof. When they bolted one of the fenders around the front wheel well, they needed a bolt that was about 1 inch long, and they didn't have one. So there was a 3-inch bolt bolting this fender on, and it went right over the top of the front tire, which ordinarily was not a problem. But when you go to level the coach and it lets the air out of the bags and the coach settles down, that bolt was rubbing on the tire.
The whole thing has been, who built this? You look at it at first and go, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. I love this coach. It's gorgeous. I love it. And then you start looking a little closer at the fit and finish. It's just sloppily done, sloppily put together. And the thing that has struck me is that Thor doesn't seem to give 2 wits about it. Guys, this is a $600,000 coach. You know, I don't think I was out of line to expect something, you know, pretty well put together and nicely done.
I'd like a phone call from Bob Martin apologizing and saying we're going to do better. Thor has responded. I received a phone call from someone higher up in the organization. We're very concerned, assured me that they take these things very seriously, did share that they had heard from you, and that's what sort of prompted this whole response. Once I relayed to her my concerns and my experiences, she was adequately appalled and upset. They immediately were able to find this unfindable taillight. They overnighted me the part. We received it yesterday. I installed it this morning, so we're all good there. And we are having another phone call later today, and what they are wanting to do is send one of their senior field techs to us when we get back to Houston, first part of November, and address all the remaining issues. Cautiously optimistic. They're saying the right stuff. I appreciate the seriousness with which they're approaching it. And like I told them, I said, guys, if you make this right, I will shout it from the rooftops that Thor did right by us.
Will Thor actually take care of Sharon and Jeff? We'll find out, because I'm definitely going to do an update. And if you're having problems with your new camper and you're stuck, you're having issues with the dealer or the manufacturer, absolutely email me. Let's make things happen. I am very committed to using this channel to be a force of good, to bring about much needed change in the RV industry. So if you found this video valuable, please like, subscribe, and share. And let me know what you think of Jeff and Sharon's story. I'd love to hear your advice or any tips that you may have for them. As always, these are exciting times to push past fear, build confidence, and live amazing.